This video is about Mars, who we all know is the god of war, but it's his attributes which make him the ultimate warrior, and there's a little bit of Mars in all of us, so let's find out what these attributes are. The planet itself is known for its colour, which it gets because it's covered in a layer of iron oxide, which is rust. It's covered in a layer of rust dust. It truly is the planet of iron. Mars is the Roman name for the god, and there he was known as a god of war, but also of agriculture, and the Romans liked him quite a lot, so they celebrated him twice a year. They celebrated him in spring when they put their crops down and sent the armies marching. And then they celebrated him again in autumn when they harvested their crops. The relationship between war and agriculture might not seem so obvious at first, but it's more about an energy, and there is a choice as to how this energy is used. In astrology, Mars is about action, it's about drive, it's about you get up and go, the thing that makes you get out of bed first thing in the morning and put in the hard work to turn those dreams into a reality. And often what motivates us can be emotional. It can be either love or hate or the need to survive. And the symbol for Mars is said to be a shield and a spear, but we also need to remember that this is the symbol which is used for the male gender, and the sacral chakra is a creative energy. So where Mars falls in your natal chart or in your synastry chart can tell you quite a bit about what kind of sex you like or how hot the sex is going to be. Mars is a god of the physical body, so he also rules sports, athleticism, physical fitness, and here we see that competitive streak once again. It can be about beating an opponent or about beating your own personal best, about pushing the limits of physical endurance and then seeing if you can go even further. He's the god of the explorer. A really good example of this archetype is Sir Edmund Hillary. Sir Edmund Hillary was a navigator of airplanes in the Second World War, and then what he's most famous for was climbing to the top of Mount Everest with the Sherpa Tenzing. Then he went to the South Pole, then he went to the North Pole, and he spent the rest of his life in philanthropy, helping the people of Nepal raise money to build schools and hospitals. This can be a very proactive and also a protective energy. In the tarot, his card is the Chariot, and here we see a warrior in a suit of armour, but the funny thing about this character is we only see half of him. Half of him looks like he's stuck in a block of concrete. That cube is said to represent the material world, so the chariot is a metaphor for the human body as a vehicle for the soul, and it gets dragged around by the emotions. And the human body, just like a car, will eventually rust, decay and die. So yes, he is a god of death. And he's also about having the bravery and the courage to face the harsh realities of mortal existence head on. He's synchronised with St. George, and here we see that valiant, chivalrous knight who slays the dragon. And what I really like about St. George and knights in general is they wear a suit of armour, so it's the god of iron wearing a suit of iron, which is very fitting. In Santería, his name is a goon. A goon is the Orisha of war, politics and iron, so he rules all of the technology and the tools that humankind uses to create civilization. His colours are green and black, which makes me think of camo print. He's often seen with his animal, which is a dog. Dogs are loyal, intelligent and hard-working. The goon is the Orisha of hard work and manual labour. He could be a workaholic, And he's often that person who gets up first thing in the morning and says that first thing in the morning is the most beautiful time of the day, which I'm sure it is. If you're a morning person, it takes all types. Another of his paths is Achosi. Achosi is the patron of the police force. He's said to be the master hunter or tracker who can find anything, and he's the best shot with a bow and an arrow or a gun. And I better quickly just mention here paths of Orisha. Paths of Orisha is a little bit like different shades of colours. So you can get light apricot, which isn't the same as tangerine, which isn't the same as brown. Apparently brown's just really, really dark orange. But here you're seeing that infinite variety within a colour, or paths of Orisha. There's this story about a goon, which is pivotal to this whole series. What happened is that a goon used to be married to Oya, the Orisha of lightning and change. That was until one night at a party, a goon got way too drunk and he raped one of the other goddesses. So as punishment for this crime, Shango, king of the Orisha, king of thunder, took Oya to be his partner, and that's how Oya and Shango became a pair, like thunder and lightning. And where this left a goon was on his own and pretty depressed because his wife has just left him. So he retreated from this world to his home in the forest, and he stayed there until Oshun went and saved him. The story about how love saved the world, I'm going to put in the video about Venus, but what the story tells us is who this archetype pairs up with. He'll pair up with the Oya archetype, he'll pair up with the Oba archetype sometimes, and he pairs up with the Oshun archetype, also known as Aphrodite and Aries, or Mars and Venus. This pair often show up together around the world. People with this archetype might have what would seem like archetypally masculine interests, but the list looks a little bit like he could be interested in sports, athleticism, physical fitness, bodybuilding. He could be interested in cars or making and fixing things. He could be a skipper of a boat, a truck driver, an airplane pilot, or he could have a job where he saves people, like being a policeman, a firefighter, or a paramedic. He could be interested in search and rescue, scouts, maybe he's into hunting and fishing, and he could be green-fingered. He could have a vegetable garden or grow some cannabis, or maybe he's an arborist and works in forestry. Here we're seeing that relationship between Mars and agriculture once again, and what seems to be going on here is that all of the deities are associated with a place in nature, and Mars is most at home in the forest. Not only is he the person who will get in and out safely because he's the master of survival, but also all of those plants are competing to reach the light, and Mars ends up being like the big tree in the forest. And anyone who's ever had a garden will have to acknowledge that gardening takes a lot of hard work, which is what this archetype is so often about. He's known to be straightforward, confident, and very, very capable. Not just a god of war. If you found this video interesting, perhaps you want to check out some of the other videos I've made on the deities in the solar system. See you soon.